Alright, as you can see, this is from Awaken Realms. They don't hide that at all, for better or worse. Hopefully the FedEx driver isn't into board games, right? He might just be like, oh man, something happened to the package. I don't know where it went. It didn't get to your place. Let's see. This is a much bigger box than I was anticipating, by the way. It's not actually super heavy, though. I don't think it's like packed to the brim or anything like that. I don't know if it's just a size thing, kind of like the Monstrum box, or if perhaps it, you know, this is the only box they had, you know, because obviously this is not, you know, like what most people will get it in. They normally do kind of the white box thing. So, yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know what's going on. Be kind of careful here. Okay, good. Lots of packaging. Feel the bubble wrap. Okay, we're in. We are in. Lots of bubble wrap. I am okay with. Lots and lots. Yeah, see? So this is just, you know, they didn't have the right size box, so they just used whatever, which is totally fine. And look at this. Look at this. That's kind of cool. It's even got a little sticker there. We'll have to look at that. You know what? I'm assuming this is a playmat. Second prototype I've gotten with a playmat. It's funny how that's being more common. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just a whole we're trying to make it super premium for the prototype, or if perhaps it's a little bit more rugged so it survives more playtesting, or what. I honestly don't know the thought process there. But we'll take a look at it. Looks like there's several boxes here. All right. Let's see. I probably need to zoom in a little bit here. Get situated. All right, let's go ahead and get into this now. Hopefully this is a little bit of a better camera angle. Now that that big old box is out of the way. Get the tape. Goodbye tape. Tape on this side. Right here. All right. And right here. Everywhere there's tape. God, who would have thought? There we are. Making progress. Taped like 8 different ways. My goodness. And we're kidding around with this. Well, actually kind of sad it was upside down after all that. So we got this one, again, prototype, nothing on the bottom, not final quality on anything, of course, and probably the miniatures in here. That's kind of, I think, what took a little bit extra here. So we will look at these. Green, red, yellow, and blue, plus the Jinshi token. Nice of them to label that. Let's go ahead and take a look. The main thing first. Alright, let's take a look at this. This is much thicker than I thought it would be. And again, it looks like fairly final, but you can see kind of the glue here. This is just an image that they have, and they can put it on any box they want. This happens to be kind of a normal box with a little bit of a wrap put on top. That's really it. And that's fine. The art, though, is really, really nice. I do like the art style there. It's a little bit more defined than I think they normally do. Normally, I think get a little bit even more abstract than that, but I do appreciate that. Lots of protection in here as well, which I appreciate. A lot of times I have to repair half the stuff I get, and I think this is just nothing. Okay, cool. Just making sure. Just padding. Ah, look at all the tokens. Alright, so we got these, I think, are the Great Wall pieces here. We'll set that aside. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in here. So we got some tokens here. I have the rule book. I haven't read it yet, though. At least not just like the first part of it. So I don't really know any of this stuff yet. So we'll have to kind of find out. I love the symbols on these, and the colors are really nice. Again, don't know what's closer to final, what's farther away from final, but the colors here are really, really good. And as a colorblind person, I can definitely tell like the difference between the yellow and green. And there's no orange even to worry about with the red or anything like that. Very cool. And again, nice symbols. I like that. All right, so we got that. We got some kind of custom looking meeples here. I don't actually know what this is supposed to be. Maybe sort of kind of a tree? I'm not actually quite sure there. Don't know. Oh, these are fun. This is like gold or some kind of resource of some kind. It's your typical stuff. It's the gems you get in like Conan and stuff like that. But with a very kind of interesting kind of matte metallic looking color. There's some wear and tear I can see on the corners to the paint. That's, again, it's prototype. That's fine. Speaking of prototype, we have these, which like they were like this red I think was painted with a marker by the looks of it and just wrapped, which I dig. You know, so something like the blue, this is a solid blue. Same with this yellow. See, it was just a wrapped orange one by the looks of it. Let's see. This is Omu, I don't know. Whatever. That's funny. Let's see what else we got here. We got some more. This is probably rock, right? So we got wood, we got rock, we got resources. We got regular. See, this is like the normal gems. This is normally how they look like. I have so many of these. That being said, I actually really like those. I actually like the kind of pokiness on my fingers. It's very tactile. Not in a bad, or maybe it's a weird, I don't know, but I don't mind it. Rubber bands. So this is actually fairly common. You get a lot of rubber bands with prototypes. Some paper clips. I don't see any paper clips yet, but we'll keep looking. Maybe we'll find one in here. Again, the art is really, really good. I love the lighting in here. This is very, very skinny. Very skinny. Again, prototype, so that's fine. And I don't know how much you're manipulating on this either. So I see like arsonist. So there's a lot of repeated stuff here as well. Looks like the symbols are all the same as well. Leader. So it's like 1% of each gets it. Additionally, the art is not changing. Again, don't know if it will in the future or not. And then these just say horde on the backs by the looks of it. And maybe that says horde there too. I don't know. Wouldn't know. All right. We got it's almost like a napkin. These are the player screens here. So think like Rising Sun, where you have your kind of screen, I think, to hide whatever it is you're doing is my assumption. Normally that's the case. A lot of times though, they'll put some info on the inside here. And it looks like there actually is different art for the different clans here, which is kind of nice. So look on the inside here. So let's go and fold one out. Just kind of take a look at it. So again, you know, not final quality here, of course. That being said, the art, again, very cool. I really dig it. It's amazing how defined their faces are, because like this horse gets almost abstract, like down in here. You can tell kind of where your eye is supposed to be drawn. They're doing a lot on their faces. They're also like the kind of their symbol in the background. I wonder if the other one's like that too. Let's see what their symbol is. Yeah, so see their symbols like the dragon. Look at that, they got a dragon in the background. Very cool. They're also offset too, so it's very different art-wise. Let's see if there's any differences. See, obviously you're going to get to your economy, wood, gold, stone. See, called it. Spring. I'm trying to see if there's anything unique on one versus the other. I don't see anything unique here. It looks like this is probably just telling you how things go. I don't know if the different clans actually are different or not. That'll be something I'm going to be looking into to see if they're any different. Here's blue. They're the monkey. And another red. I got two reds. That's fine. Again, just a prototype. But man, I do like the art. I like his hat. All right, put those up. What else we got here? Let's look at these little things. These are, oh man, see, I was just looking at this in the rule book. I want to say like fortifications or something like that. Anyway, you put them in like this, and I imagine eventually you can get this as a miniature. If you can't right away, it's going to be an add-on. You put it up like this, and that's kind of your defensive kind of structure here. Whoop, that went flying. Don't worry, I got it. I know you were worried. One of those lost forever kind of things. Went down the vent or something, right? All right, what else we got here? What else? We got just a couple cards here. Artifact. Let's see what this is. By the way, these really orange rubber bands I'm getting a kick out of. Or they're just really boring. It looks like I just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts. Again, who knows how many. Again, very skinny. Actually, it feels a little bit thicker on here, but it's a smaller card too. The bigger it is, the more you need that thickness. Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, this dark armor stuff, this Kunwu, like this Jewel of Nuwa. Hey, Nuwa. Yeah, I mean, they look really cool and really nice. Looks like they give you different stuff. Some bigger cards. Again, that skinniness will matter more with bigger cards. Again, though, prototype, of course. All right, so we got a whole bunch of different actual named people here. This is going to be like Dynasty Warriors, isn't it? Gonna Dynasty Warrior it up. All right, so it looks like they have different passives, right? You may use gold as any other resource. You may get an advisor. When you get an advisor, you may upgrade one any overseer. Again, we'll have to work on the translation for a normal cost. When your soldier dies, gain 2, whatever that is. Is that like the Loki strategy, I wonder? In engage phase, you can send 2 whatever at once per wall section. So just different things. They have different values here and whatnot. Again, don't know exactly what they are. They certainly look cool. They're generals. That's what they are. And again, love the art here. Just really, really good art. But AR always does fantastic art. I've always been a fan of the stuff that they do art-wise. It's very good. Okay, looks like a little checklist here. Not everything is checked. Hopefully that's all right. I'm not quite sure why that's in here yet. But we'll see. It looks like I probably did get all of that, though, in there, and it's not checked here. So hopefully we're good there. I'm going to keep that, though. All right, we got just a couple more things here. We got lots of cards here. Let's just take a look at them because, again, it's all about that art on these. Because I can't comment on quality. And you know me, I like to comment on quality. But so far, quality of the prototype is, again, really good. They've gotten so good here. I've gotten some jank stuff here. I've gotten some stuff you guys have never seen and probably never will. I think I've shown a little bit on my Patreon on like some of the other prototypes I get, but some people send in some pretty rough stuff. Even like the Alien Trespass, as nice as that was, I like made all my fingers all nasty and all that. These are just really, crisp and clean and nice. The cut on these is very nice. It's very smooth. Especially on this like round corner here, you can kind of tell like it doesn't feel like paper. A lot of times it feels like they printed it on like some cardstock printer and then just cut it by hand. They had like a little Timmy do it or something. Let's see here. I am seeing repeated art. Let me see if it's actually organizer. So see, here's the same art, but totally different cards. Let me pull that down here. So this could be one of two things. It could be placeholder, right? So just don't have all the art done. Or it could just be that they're just going to reuse the art and it doesn't actually matter too much. I don't actually have too much of a preference. This kind of stuff typically, I'm okay not having. See, they all have that guy in the back. Obviously, the more art they're willing to put in a game, the more I'm willing to enjoy it because I enjoy their art. But it's not like a deal breaker for me anyway. But something to keep in mind. I will say layout wise, I like having it kind of in the corner there and having this kind of background that is also kind of making the name pop out really nice, which I do kind of like. I appreciate that. And so it goes dark to light as well. So it gets this kind of transition here. And in fact, I want to say, was it the Great Wall? I know they had one where they had like this really big transition from dark to light when it came. No, I think that was Etherfields, wasn't it? Their box art for that. And it seems they're still kind of liking that style by the looks of it. All right, moving along. You know me, spending too long on stuff. All right, again with these orange. I've never seen such like this green one is like kind of boring compared to the orange, but man, they must have a whole bunch of really colorful rubber bands there. All right, so again, same back in here. These are a little bit bent. And funny enough, though, these I feel like they might be a little thicker than. No, I guess it's the same as this at least. Oh well. Anyway, moving on. These flanking. So this is the same card, right? Regroup is probably the same as the other regroup. Yes. So there's a couple of each kind here: Berserk, Call for Aid, and Charge. By the looks of it, are kind of your different options here, at least for what I have. Last one of the cards. Oh, this is a red one, isn't it? Very cool. I might keep these. All right, these are command cards. I do like having the name on the back here, by the way. I was just setting up a game where, like, I had to keep looking back at which one do I have out, and it just wasn't as obvious because they were just all symbols. And I mean, once I get playing it, it's fine. But first setting it up, especially, this will be really nice just to see, like, oh, these are the command cards. I know right here. I don't even need to look in, the rule book to try and see what the command cards are or guess. It looks like these might be all unique. Tactic order. Okay, so for each color, and it looks like otherwise they're the same. So I don't know what the color differences. It looks like probably just blue, green. The different players get their own is my assumption there, but otherwise they look to be symmetrical and stuff. And this is the last thing. And, oh, wait. Right, Jens. All right. Get that out of the way. Move that. Fold this out. Now this is, I believe, like one of the side pieces maybe or something like that. Nothing on the back. It's just kind of a thing. So it looks like cards fit here. Now it looks like with how the arrows go, I'm assuming this comes down and these go to the left. My assumption here. We also see some different gold values, some blue here. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on here. We'll have to find out. I will say though, look, this card is in like really big on this. So I'm assuming these cards go here. And I don't recognize this one at all. But either way, there's a little side piece there. Oh, let's look at this wall. That's what everybody's wanting to see, right? This is the wall. First of all, how are they making it here? So it looks like it is very thick cardboard here. Again, no idea what the official version will be. I'll have to like look at the rule book. After I read, because the rule book might mention it in like a component list. I don't recall. So I'll take a look there, and if not, maybe I can get an answer from Marcin or somebody like that. I'd like to include that in my review, just because this is such a big part of the game, and definitely like the biggest like thing that affects the game table, right? When it comes to looking at it, this is going to be what everybody comments on right away. You're playing this at your friendly local gaming store, or you set this up on a table, and everybody's going to come in and be like, oh, what's that? What's going on there? And that's what they're going to be commenting on. So it's kind of important to know what's it made out of? Maybe it'll be upgraded, or there's an add-on or something like that. They might be a little cagey with the answer, but I'm going to at least ask, because I think that's kind of important. That being said, what this is right now, it's nice and thick. You can see the glue. It looks like it's slotted in. So I don't know how, prototypey this is, but it seems like, I mean, they even have like these little overhangs here and stuff, fairly well thought out. So I would imagine it's something kind of similar to this. Now, component-wise, assembly-wise, I don't know. Just like nobody would add the hang here if this was just a quick job. This is just a sticker on here, right? It's nothing, no big deal there. Don't worry about any of that. So it looks like this is maybe where your people go. My assumption. There's also different values here. See, there's 10, there's 5. I want to say, yeah, and so some of these have nothing, and some of them have a value. I'm wondering if you start with a certain amount. See, do we have 4 that you don't? No, just 3. Okay, so I don't know. So there are 3 10s that don't have that, and then it looks like everything else has that. Now, the higher the value here, maybe that's a shield defense, my assumption, going off iconic, the icons here. And then obviously it looks like it's going to cost more to do that. But visually it looks the same. At least here oh no, so so here they look the same. So we'll see. And I don't know like how exactly, like does it pop up? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. That's kind of interesting. Now, I still have the mat and the minis. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the mat out, and then we'll just open the minis on top of the mat. I think that might be kind of cool. All right, so here you can kind of see what we're anticipating here. And it looks like maybe the wall goes here, but I'm not sure. And then eco leather playmat. All right, I wonder if it's stitched. So I'm really, really big on it. If I'm buying, and not just, being sent whatever, if I'm buying or if I'm reviewing a mat and I know it's final, or I can guess it's final, I'm big on stitched playmats. If it's not stitched, 1, I just feel like it's a giant mouse pad, and then 2, it just doesn't last. It starts fraying like very quickly. I have found, like within 1 play session, you'll start seeing a little bit of fray, and with stitch, that just doesn't happen. My experience, the stitching around the outside, it just feels premium, if nothing else. And this feels bad when I can't open things on camera. There we go. All right, yeah, so it is a playmat. It is not stitched. Again, don't know how final this is or anything like that. Ideally, if they do offer this in the future, it can come stitched. It's very skinny, but has a very good. Do you hear that? A very good texture on the bottom. We'll see how grippy it is. Because again, the last thing anybody wants is it like rolling around everywhere too. So let's go ahead and roll this out. Oh, and it's long ways, which is very interesting. I'm running out of room here. You guys can pretty much see most of it though. So up here looks like cards would go here, my assumption. I would think maybe those go there, considering it fits. So you might have, 3 here. Now, interesting enough, 4 colors, 3 spots. Don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's like musical chairs, you don't have enough. And then down here, it looks like it was where you're placing your different units in different spots here, perhaps. I don't know what all of this necessarily is. There are different values here. Here's a card here, so you can probably get different cards from different spots. And it looks like around here is some kind of tracking this, which I'm assuming is your more or less your victory points, going all the way up to 100 here. There's some more cards down here, and it looks like they go long ways off the board. And then I'm also seeing some stuff right here. Now, again, quality-wise, it seems pretty nice. I'm getting a little bit, and again, I don't know if this is how they'll be. I'm just commenting on what I can get. I'm doing what I can. A little bit of a curl here. You can see this was on the inside most, right? It was the smallest curl, the tightest one. It's a little flat or a little bent. But, I mean, otherwise, this actually seems very nice. And I don't know how separate this is. So a lot of times the print job on the top is like, it's like this thick black mat and then this kind of sheet that's, fused with the top. And this almost doesn't look like that. It looks like it might just be all one thing. I don't know. Very interesting. The color though is great. It's another thing that can sometimes get a little bad. You can see like maybe this kind of white kind of snow haziness around some of this stuff here. That's probably not intentional. I think that'll go away with a better printing. But all right, that's that. So I was gonna leave it here. I was expecting it to be like long ways. I might just move it long ways so it takes up the whole camera. There you guys go. Look at that. get some of the more interesting town part in there. All right. There. All right, we're good. Let's get into the miniatures. First is blue and yellow. Now, I have a suspicion that, at least for now in the prototype, every color will have the same sculpts. That's probably not going to be the case going forward. It normally isn't. Yeah, so see, these are the exact same miniature. It's just one's in yellow, one's in blue. I am kind of interested. It looks to me like these were all one color and then they just did a quick wash on. So this is pretty much their shading technique here, their sun drop. You can kind of see the tide marks a little bit where they added kind of a wash that like recessed into that, which really does help bring out the just the general detail level. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. I was checking the camera here. I want to make sure you guys can kind of see this proper. And I'm also going to lower this even more. Okay, so as you can see, right now at least this is a very kind of sun drop like thing. And I don't even know actually if it looks like the plastic was blue. And so it was actually still blue, but my assumption, what they did here is they then had kind of a pretty much a thinnazole highlight where they kind of went with like an airbrush and did some white at an angle like this, just kind of over top, maybe on both sides there, but otherwise kind of had a blue plastic and then just kind of a dark blue wash that they just washed the whole thing with. I'm assuming they did the wash and then the spray on. So you can get these kind of highlights. You can see the texture here. I have my pointer. I don't know what I'm doing with my fingers. All right, so you get this kind of really good texture here. This is definitely resin of some kind, just by, I think, how light it is. And very crisp detail here, though. These look great. I commented on when I first saw this to anybody who would listen to me, which was probably mostly just my patrons in Discord, that I feel this is a very different cast, or a very different sculpt design, I guess I should say, than their other stuff. It just seems like the guys here just seem chunkier. Everything just kind of seems chunkier. The horse seems chunky. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Here's, by the way, this is also a very common resin thing. When you're actually getting resin sculpts, you can definitely see the blue in the bottom here where they can't quite get the wash real quick. A little bit of alignment different there. That happens all the time. I don't know, just something about it seems different than, like, it's obviously different than Either Fields, different than Nemesis. I like it. I think it's actually kind of a cool design. And as a painter, I think I would enjoy painting it a bit more. I like commenting on this even more before I even put it away. I like how raised this is. Do you see the difference there and how much it's raised? That's great because that means that especially if they're using something like a 3D print like this to start the kind of casting in the mold process, when you actually inject the soft PVC or ABS plastic in here, the details shrink, right? The plastic shrinks a little bit. And that's part of the way how you actually get the mold off. And so with that shrinking means everything needs to be really exaggerated. So these need to be really popped out so that when it shrinks, it's still there. So a lot of times you'll actually, if you sculpt it right, it might look a little ridiculous in resin, right? It might actually really pop out. Like, you see how popped out this is? It's very obviously not like stenciled on there. In plastic, though, this will actually, I think, look better. Does that make sense? So right now, this is super exaggerated in almost a silly kind of way. In the plastic, it'll be raised enough to where you can paint it really easily and nicely, while still, not looking like this. Now, I will say my preference is actually inverse to this. I find it much easier to paint in something than on top of something, mainly because I find the edges to be very difficult. So if, let's say this is going to be blue and I'm going to want yellow lettering on there, because yellow lettering I think on this would look freaking sweet. in painting this, I would have to kind of paint the sides here and just kind of be careful here. If it was recessed, so in other words, if instead of popping out, it actually sunk in a little bit, I could just put my brush in there, paint it, and I'd automatically get the sides. It'd look great. Painting in the recesses, I find much easier. A lot of this would take a dry brush well. This kind of deep recess here, again, your brush could go in there. And again, you'd be able to do this trim with this recess trim a lot easier than you would on these. So I don't think they're going to swap that, especially not just with me saying it. But in the future, I actually prefer recessed lettering or symbols or whatever versus it protruding out like this, because I really hate kind of trying to paint this side area. Anyway, cape looks great, very wrinkly. His pants are super wrinkly. That's pretty common. The horse has a sculpted eye, which is cool. Great muscle definition here. And I actually like it when the base isn't overly big, unless I'm planning on basing. Obviously, I would like sculpted bases if we can. That'd be great, but otherwise, pretty good. Now, incidentally, if you look at this yellow one here, these yellow ones looks like they're painted just kind of a base coat here. So you see how this is just whatever, and then they just kind of plopped yellow on here. These are not shaded or anything like that. Might be prime to paint one of these. And again, I'm noticing this kind of thing here. So that was from the same mold is pretty much all that means. There's a slight misalignment on there. Let's look at another miniature. Let's look at these guys here. So this guy's fun, and again, you can see the shading, the wash that they put on there, and then a quick spritz from like an airbrush to kind of highlight everything. And actually, yeah, I mean, it looks kind of good. Even this is recessed and shaded there. They did a good job on this for Sundrop. This is definitely true scale, so his head is very tiny and his hands are very tiny. They are not inflated. I actually don't care about true scale. I'd much rather have hands that, aren't super, I mean, you need like 2 brushes to paint that. Super tiny. What is the scale of this? Yeah, I don't know. I'll put it on screen, what I think the scale is, or I'll put a picture of, I don't want to go and get one real quick, but of like another miniature, like a 32 millimeter miniature, just to see. But these are actually quite small. They're not Joan of Arc small. They're closer to like maybe Descent 2nd edition. They're really close to that. I can't remember what that is. I want to say it's 28, maybe 25. In either way, smaller scale. Actually, let me see. How are they looking? Yeah, they're looking pretty okay there. Well, I don't know. Because he's like really bent here, right? And so they're about just as high as each other. But you see how he's kind of sitting? So the scale here seems really off. Like he would... He's like a midget. I would love to see the scale fixed here. So if he was standing straight, he would be much taller. So that's kind of odd. In fact, let's look at this guy here. Why is this guy so tiny? What's going on there? Do you see that? Okay, that's too much. That's too much of a difference. We got to get that scale fixed. These guys need to be a little bit taller. That's funny. Again, I actually like the sculpt design though. These ridges here, see how crisp and exaggerated this is? That's some ridiculous folding. In the actual final miniature, that'll be less ridiculous. I love seeing that. I love seeing the exaggerated features on here so that when it shrinks down, it actually looks good. These fingers do not look exaggerated because there's not a lot of room to exaggerate. So that would be the only concern I'd have, is I'd worry this hand isn't going to look too good. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. Hair texture is also quite shallow. The facial features, though, are great. They're very sunken in kind of jawline, and then the cheeks, the forehead kind of ridges here. The ears very pronounced. Very happy with the sculpt design, but man, those guys are tiny. All right, I kind of already took one of these guys out, so let's take a look at them. All square bases, again. That's why. So again, with kind of the exaggerated, and again, I love the kind of, when it's inverse like this and I can paint inside there, yeah, easy peasy. Lots of fine detail here. So they'll definitely have to be pretty confident about their plastic mix here. It can't be too soft, or this is just going to not work. Especially this multi-layered here. So you have the very inside there, then you have these ridges, and you have these like rivets here as well, and then you have a line over here on top. So there's like 3 or 4 layers right here. It looks amazing like this. I'll say that right now. Again, super exaggerated. Do you see that? Very exaggerated lines. Like it looks like an accordion more than a cape. And that's perfect. That's just what you want, so that it'll just kind of smooth out a little bit. It'll look nice and natural in its final form. So I actually really appreciate that. Really happy to see that they're doing that. All right. So that looks like that's pretty much the main 3 you get. I don't know. This is probably a general maybe. And this is maybe like a researcher of some kind that you'd go on missions. This is like your typical soldier guy, my assumption. There is... I think we're going to see mostly the same stuff in this and this other one. But the reason I saved this second is because it has this Jinchi token that I want to see. So let's take a look at what that is. And then I think we're done. All right, so here's the red and the green. Just commenting real quick on the sun drop here. These don't look too pink. Which was, I think, the first thing I was worried about here. Maybe, so again, when you add white to red, you're going to get pink, and I think that's definitely kind of what we're looking at here. But it's not too bad. I'm not seeing that. Oh, here's the token. And then there's the token. Otherwise, these are all the same. So, guys, that's really it. I'm going to go ahead and put these on a round table with some really good lighting so you can just see the different sculpts. I'll put a little bit of each color in there just so you can kind of see the difference here. Again, not final production quality, but it'll kind of give you a good sense of what they're aiming for anyway. So, we'll meet up there. All right, thanks for joining me here while we look at the miniatures really up close. Now, I did actually miss one. There is a arrow guy, a bow guy, but in all seriousness, this is enough to look at because this is only 3 sculpts, and if you look at the Kickstarter preview, link in the description below, by the way, you'll see that this is actually just each color, each faction, each nation, whatever, has their own unique sculpt, so their own horse guy, their own... a kind of a cleric kind of person. And so these are just a small tidbit of all of the miniatures you'll be getting, including all the sculpts you'll be getting. And of course, I'm sure there'll be stretch goals and add-ons and all that other Kickstarter typicalness. But anyway, looking at this, I must say, I actually really like the design. I talked about, kind of the, whether it's popped out or inlaid in. I talked about the exaggerated kind of features so that they take the transition to regular kind of PVC plastic better. And yeah, like I said, I think I just really like that. I actually like that the base is really close to them. You can't really base it, and I love basing. You can't do as much fun stuff, obviously, with a smaller base. But anytime a base is really big, and it makes the mini seem kind of weird, I kind of always like the mini to look like it's like popped out of the area it's around. And so obviously having a smaller area makes it seem more like it's just a chunk of it instead of, on display or something like that. Anyway, really like the design here. I think all of them are very cool. I like the how they've supported like that big halberd on the back leg there. I think that's smart. And then along his arm, so it's not just his hand attached, much less chance of it being broken. I would assume in the final version that sword that the mounted guy is holding out would be ABS, that whole arm would be, based off their Tainted Grail. It looks like that's definitely what they would do. They would make an ABS section that would just be that arm, so it'd remain nice and straight and keep a good point and whatnot. So all of that's really good. The overlay on top of the horse's kind of snout and all that would actually be less. Again, it'll shrink down a little bit. Not a whole lot, so they'll still have a good detail and all that, but a little bit. And so I think these are actually designed perfectly for what I would be looking at a prototype going into that. This also gives you a quick kind of look at the sun drop kind of technique that they'll do with the kind of airbrushed highlight and then kind of a quick wash. You can see that there are some... There are some areas where you can tell the wash didn't quite get into, like, in his arm and kind of increases like that. That being said, you're looking at this really, really up close. And so that's never going to happen. Trust me, they look really, really cool on the table. And I think they actually look better than normal plain miniatures, that's for sure, which is kind of nice. Alright guys, that's all I had to show you. Obviously there'll be a review soon, so subscribe for that. Thanks to all of my amazing patrons. All of you guys are so awesome, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.